Ooh, and that goes right into it. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
light skin versus dark skin definitely goes into it. Now, I really want to speak to you and rather some others as well on this podcast about this whole light skin, dark skin. To me, I think it's nonsense. But to me, the only people that are pushing this are lower self esteem, darker skinned women. Okay. Who are blaming the world because they don't have what they think they should have. Okay. They think they should have, they look at these lighter complected women and who they're with and who they're dating, who they're married to, and they think they should have that. But it's like, well, wait a minute, you didn't want that guy when he didn't have anything. You know how many, especially with black males, you know how many black males have wanted to date black women, but they weren't street enough, they weren't an educated thug, so they didn't have a shot with those black women.
Yeah.
And when they become successful, they get themselves in good shape. You know what I'm saying? They got the 6-pack, you know what I'm saying? They tatted up maybe,
Yeah.
making a lot of money. Now all of a sudden he's a viable option. He wasn't a viable option when he didn't have that stuff. And I'm
Yep.
noticing that the dark complected women are in their feelings anymore. Especially, I've noticed it because you know I'm a content creator, so people send me stuff from YouTube. But you notice it on these blogs, on Instagram and other places. These women are highly in their feelings about
Yes.
colorism, and darker skinned women don't have this and they're not with this person. So I want to hear from you. What do you think of this whole
Yeah.
stupid debate?
Okay, so I'm going to touch on it from two sides, but I just had an experience just a couple of hours ago, so I'll speak on
Okay.
that. But in terms of in my industry, I see it a lot. Obviously, there's going to be the women who sit down in the chair and say, make me look like such and such and this and that. And I'm like,
Right.
but do you want to look like that, or you mean that makeup look? No, I want to look like that. And I'm like, you
Mm.
can't. I'm so sorry, but you can't.
Wow.
And and again, it's constantly the similar group of women that show me images, and whether it comes down to hair or makeup,
Right.
show me images of things that they cannot attain. And it's not that they're not beautiful. You can be beautiful, but can you be beautiful being you, please?
Right.
Because you're not going to be beautiful 50 shades lighter. No.
Right.
You're not going to be beautiful with a different hair texture. No. And again, obviously, you can technically you can bleach, you can put on the wig. Are you going to be you? No. I'm sorry. Just like you could put in the fake butt. No. Are you you really? No. I get it. You think that you're enhancing yourself, but you haven't been true to yourself, and you won't be happy in the end. And I don't care who wants to disagree with me on that. That's where I stand on that. You will not be happy with yourself, your true self, if you do all of those things. But I'm just not here for the whole colorism fight in terms of where people take it and the controversies behind it. But what I will speak on is I just had an experience because I was on another live stream,
Okay.
and the lady came off after and she was like, I'm triggered by you. And she said,
Wow.
you are that girl that was in school that I looked at, that I hung out with. But I hung out with her because I knew the guys were going to be around her. I knew I could get maybe more attention
Wow.
if I hung out with her. You know, you are the girl who had the nicer hair, the nicer complexion that didn't get called monkey. And,
Wow.
and I understood her struggle, and only from the standpoint, obviously, of her explaining it to me and what I've heard from others. I cannot
Uh,
speak on people's struggle that I haven't experienced.
uh,
But it's crazy because I don't see myself in that way, but I get it. I
uh-huh.
understand that women do have these feelings, but again, I told her in that moment, I was like, do you know the experiences I've had? And she said, well, you guys got all this and all that. And I'm like, yeah, I got that. But do you know what those group of women did to me? Did you know that they, basically almost beat myself and my friend up? And now my friend is now missing her eye
Wow.
because they kicked her eye out of her head
Wow.
because she was too pretty, too light skinned.
Yeah.
Her hair was too nice. And it was just, they were just angry. And I said, that is what that anger does,
Mm-hmm.
because nobody fought them and kicked out their eye. But here we are suffering because of the pain you're going through and the
Right.
anger that you have, and you can't control that anger. And she said, you know what? I still have that anger today. And I could have been one of those girls that kicked out your friend's eye. That's how
Wow.
angry I am. And I was like, that's crazy
What?
that we are still here today.
Yeah, and that's where I'm seeing the vitriol comes from. It's from like the way
Yeah.
they felt years ago. they still feel that way, but they want to pretend like light skinned women have been like attacking them and treating them badly. I've never noticed that growing
Yeah.
up. I never noticed
I
light
never
skinned
really
women just going out of their way to attack dark skinned women because there were
I'm
too
sure
many of
there are
them. First
people.
off, and second
Yeah.
off, lighter complected women always had to try to fit in. So there's no way they would just go out attacking dark skinned chicks like that. Dark skinned chicks are highly emotional. They're mad because they look in the mirror and they see an unattractive woman. Nobody else probably sees that except them.
It's hard. It's hard because, and I've seen, yeah, I'm sure there's a handful of women that would use their color privileges or their pretty it's okay, or their pretty privilege, if you will, put it in that category, that will use that against them. But it's such a small group because, just like you said, we suffered from their pains, or so they feel, their pains that they have within the colorism spectrum, and it's not real. Like, I remember sitting there thinking, well, why am I being beat, and just not feeling included? Why am I being
Right.
beat up here?
Yeah.
What did I do? I honestly did nothing. Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm confused. And having to live with that, and thinking, okay, well, I can't hang out with the black girls. I can kind of hang out with the white girls, but we might not relate, or there'll be certain things that they don't get.
Mm-hmm.
And then the biracial women, I can't really. So I was just confused myself. And I didn't even know I was supposed to be in any one, or not in any one of these categories, but I was definitely told that I did not belong. So
Wow.
just like you said, like, it really stemmed, unfortunately, from them and their own negative self feelings. It didn't come from anywhere else.
And that's the thing. You know what's crazy? You have those same dark skinned females, right? They'll go and they will date Caucasian men or lighter men, and their children will be light.
Right.
And they don't
right.
think that that's their children will have to deal with what she may have put lighter skinned women through.
I've heard those women do it purposely, and I've like seen shows even online on YouTube where they said they did that purposely because they didn't want those women, or their children, to grow up to be women that would be called monkey or be made fun of. So they purposely, whiten their children out so that they wouldn't have to deal with that suffering. So they feel that would help. But there are other things that come in with being biracial too. So there's so many things that aren't perfect in the whole scenario, but they feel they're helping somehow.
Yeah. And that's why I think this whole debate is just stupid. It's just a bunch of insecure women that they feel wronged. They feel like they should have opportunities, but that means you're giving men way too much power then, because that's what it's about. It ain't about just because she looks pretty. It's because men find them pretty. Just like you have women that will go overseas to get work done. They do it for men. They don't do it just for women.
Yeah. Yeah. And it goes both ways, because whatever complexion you are, you can be made fun of, whatever the case may be. Like, I was made fun of for my big lips, and then later on, apparently they were sellable. So, and that just came with the whole territory, I guess. And no, there's just so many things that I guess they don't see, unfortunately, because I've spoken to many black men who are dark complected, who have said, I was called this, that, and the third.
Right.
And I grew up, I picked up myself, and I went and started a business, and now I'm a millionaire. It's just, the stories are just so different, the way they handled it. And it's like, I understand you may feel bad for the things that have happened in your life, but it's how you address them later on and how you grow from them that exemplify the type of person you are. Unfortunately, if you are just going to walk through life blaming the world, you're really not going to get anywhere, and that's just the standpoint.
Yeah, and that's why I tell these women, stop blaming everybody, grow up, get some therapy, because the only person that sees an ugly dark-skinned girl is you. Because dark-skinned chicks, from my understanding, they've never went without getting a guy, or getting pregnant here or there. So I just think the whole thing to me is nonsense. To me, So
absolutely, yeah, it doesn't need to be where it's at. Unfortunately, and it's huge, right? It's a big thing online, everywhere.
Yeah, and it's promoted by women who don't like themselves,
Yes.
and they don't feel like they've gotten what they wanted out of life, and they see other women who are more feminine than them. I think the feminine aspect, you do have lighter complected women who may be more feminine than them, and they feel some type of way. But again, you have to work on yourself instead of pointing the finger at everybody else. I don't get upset at lighter complected men that were chosen over me. Maybe, even though I don't look at it that way, I see it as, if a woman doesn't choose me, she doesn't choose me. It doesn't mean that
Yes.
that person was chosen over me.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. I would never look at it as, oh, because this person or she or he is this or that, that's why. I honestly don't even see that way. Even in my own industry, I don't look at, okay, because a white girl got it or something. Maybe
Yeah.
she was the better fit. I don't look at it like that anymore at this point. I've already paid my dues and people know my talent. My talent speaks for itself. I'll get hired when I'm due to get hired. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
If you want to see the rest of this podcast, make sure y'all click the link in the description box and go and check it out. Also, make sure you support the podcast, donate, share it. I'll see you next time.